Okay.
Okay, I'll call the meeting of the Green Bay Economic Development Authority to order. Roll call, Sikich is here, Alderman Dwayne is here, Hilgenberg's excused, Borley is on his way, Genrick
Here.
and Vogel is excused. Accept the motion to approve the agenda. So moved by Dwayne. Second by Genrick. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Motion to approve the minutes from the April 13th, 2016 meeting. So moved by Genrick, second by Dwayne. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Old business. Communication from Alderman Moore regarding the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, so we have been in talks with the Hispanic Chamber about figuring out some kind of partnership with them. We're still kind of determining what that could possibly be. Part of it has to do with the fact that we'd like to use CDBG funding, and there's a lot of federal regulations surrounding that money. So we're still looking into it, and we'd like to receive and place on file and come back to you guys in 2 months with more of an update.
Now, tell me about the Hispanic. Are they a local Green Bay? What is that?
No, it's a statewide organization that does workforce development all throughout the state. They have a regional office. If we were to do any partnership, any funding that we gave to them would be, I'm pretty sure, matched or at least leverage additional funds in some capacity, and it would be dedicated to Green Bay specifically. So that we wouldn't provide them with funding or any kind of assistance if it wasn't going to come back into our community.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious about that. Okay.
I think they have a regional office up in WTC.
So it's a much broader organization.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But what they do is they go into companies. Sorry.
No, I'll just let Gary know. I had a question.
Oh, okay.
They go into companies, figure out exactly what training needs that company has, and then come out with a program and a curriculum that they will put people through. And it's not specifically limited to any demographic, even though they are the Hispanic Chamber.
Now, is this something that Chambers might have an office for them in there to have someone local? I know because I've talked to many of Hispanic families in here that there's not enough things or not enough say. You know, and I lead them in the right direction, but they're afraid to get involved, a lot of them, and we really have to set something up to where they have a hold here in Green Bay, not just statewide. We'd have to have something here that they can communicate, actually get to.
It's not really a social service.
No, I know that.
Like
But if you're going to have a Chamber of Commerce, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we'd like to see something here.
Right. They have an office at NWTC.
Does the Green Bay Chamber have any outreach to the Hispanic community or whatever? I mean, they should maybe be involved.
Celestine Jeffries used to be their diversity manager,
that's
but is
right.
no longer.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their initiative is at this time.
When I talked to them last, they said there was no, the interest wasn't there right now. I mean, they're not looking to do anything.
Does the Hispanic Chamber have members in the area, business members, as a traditional chamber would, or how is that set up?
They're set up in a little different form. Their business is more for providing services and coaching and mentorships. It's a little different than a membership piece. I think that some of it is funded through programmatic dollars that are allotted to them, and then they do community outreach to the community to provide services within the community. So it's more of a service provision piece versus a membership piece in their makeup. And that's why we thought that we found some job grant funds that we had that were not in use in our community. We'd like to find resources and ways that we could, and this was one of the options that came up, was to potentially look to them for some training grants, job training grants. But
it was called to our attention in particular when Alderman Moore brought it to EDA 2 months ago and said
I remember that.
to explore the partnerships. So
but I do think to Tom's point, it would make some sense, you would think, to build community, within the Hispanic business community to form sort of like a member organization versus just this. What it really is a Milwaukee organization that has a satellite in Green Bay.
Oh, definitely.
So to facilitate that in some way would make
Right.
some sense.
I think that's one of the things we talked about, before investing. How are those dollars going to be used and in what capacities? I think there's a lot of outreach that can be done in assisting, especially Hispanic-owned small businesses and what we can do to help them, grow and provide them resources in our community or act as a conduit to other resources in the community. I think that's one of the things that there's still a lot of options and maybe it's some of the technical details to work through of like what we can use these funds for in terms of that investment.
Well, report back to us in 2 months and keep us posted.
Does that have to be a motion or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, if it's, because it's communication, so you do have to.
We
So
need a
I'll
motion
just
for it.
Receive, receive and place on file.
Okay, is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good. Approval of the easement, let's wait until Mike gets here.
Okay.
Item 5. Item 6, accept donation from WPS Foundation for an interactive sculpture designed by Cineviz.
All right, so I'm not going to show you guys any designs. I'm not.
Did they have any examples of what they were talking about? Not really.
Not
Okay.
really. I mean, they'd like for us to keep the design under wraps for now. It's going to go through Parks to get approval. So for right now, all I'm asking for is for you guys to accept the donation, which is a $100,000 donation from WPS, and for that donation to be used on an interactive project completed by Cineviz, who WPS named as the organization they would like us to
To work with.
spend those
That
funds.
sounds easy enough. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Carried. Sounds like a neat project.
Yeah, and we'll come back through, like Julia said, when kind of the design gets finalized in a location, we'll bring it back here for info, and then Parks or INS or wherever it ends
Yeah.
up going, they'll
Yeah.
need some other approvals from the city.
And then Brownfields grant, I just wanted to
Brownfield grant update.
give you guys an update on where we're at. So I did make this story map, which I wanted to show you. It goes through each one of our brownfield sites. So you can,
Which totals 8 or?
yes, apparently we have 8 right
Okay.
now. So it just says how we use the assessment funding, a little bit of background on the project, and kind of goes through each one of the sites. And that I posted on our city's website under the Brownfields nomination
Oh, cool. Okay.
page. As far as our grant goes, we just did our quarterly report, which is why I thought it would be a good time to give you guys some kind of an update. So where we're at right now, we have spent $267,000 of the $400,000 and have $132,000 remaining. A large portion of that remaining fund is in phase 2. We don't have a whole lot left in phase 1. Coming up, projects that we're looking forward at are the Belp Avenue study, which you guys approved previously, which we met with Stan Tech last week. We're getting that project launched, and hopefully it'll be well underway in the rest of this month. And hopefully we will be completing phase 1s on Larson Green and the baseball stadium if we see that project coming forward. So we have some projects in the process of coming to fruition, and we'll just have to see where everything's at soon.
Was there anything on University or in the corridor there that you were looking at, or not really?
The festival did not utilize our funds for any of that project, and I know Alderman Dwayne had asked about the nursery, Tillman Nursery.
Tillman.
We could use it for those. One of the things we talked about, just like the time frame, like they're good for a year, so we do them when there's project imminent. So, something would come through Tillman, JVS. There's some other sites along that corridor. We could utilize those.
But there's nothing really happening.
Nope, nothing imminent at the moment.
Okay, good. Thank you. Director's update.
Sure. I don't know how much change we'll see here, but just administratively, department-wise, working through personnel committee last night. Appreciate Alderman Dwayne's support. Proposing a reorganization for planning and economic development, actually put them under one roof. Where we'll have a director or Department of Community and Economic Development, a director who kind of oversees economic opportunity pod and works on like the big projects, an assistant director who really works on like day-to-day operations, helping us with policy improvement, customer service, doing things, tech, and making sure, we're at the leading edge of we're a good place to do business in.
Right.
And then a request, one by Alderman Dwayne and another by Alderman Moore, to upgrade some positions. One, turning a part-time position in full-time that focuses specifically on real estate and moving us, making sure, keeping track of our properties as we acquire them, managing them, but then also disposing of them.
Getting rid of them. Yeah.
It's not up to us to hold on to them forever.
One
I
more
mean,
tire change, huh?
yeah. Strategically, there's a time, to get involved in projects, but, in the long run, it's in the best interest if they're in private developments. And then also an additional position that, looks at, GIS and design and helps us, with good information, again, like helping us to market these properties and helping us, to get that information out there to move properties forward. We have proposals for, sketching up, here's what would be possible here in terms of development. We talked about I-43 and then future expansion, somebody who can work on how do we design that, how do we plan that out, and how do we start to move forward on some of these bigger projects. So that is going to council next week, and we'll see where they go, and the hope is at least to get the assistant director on board right away, and then look at filling those other positions shortly thereafter, and then we'll talk about hopefully we can get those moving forward in next year's budget.
So then economic development and planning will be merged as it was way back then.
Correct. We'll talk and basically have an economic opportunity pod that works on the projects and really as Julie and Wendy have done, whether big or small, taking a project really through City Hall and through our development services of the site plans and permits to building inspection to follow up, and then the three divisions within continue to be development services, which is basically headed up by Bill Lockery, and that looks at all of our planning, and then also all of our kind of trades and building construction. A community investment division that's headed up by Cheryl Rinnerwig. That's our neighborhood investment in terms of CDBG funds that go back into the community. It's also our property, housing, zoning, inspection, making sure we maintain our property. The third division of housing, and basically that looks at managing Mason Manor, but also some of the scattered sites. And one of the things we looked and had some discussions about, I think there's some more things that we could be doing and leveraging with housing and some of the federal housing dollars that we get in terms of just, could be some cross collaboration on some of the projects. And I think doing it this way, it puts us in a good spot that I think we are all on the same team, and then we've discussed this internally and then discussed with the aldermen, and I think we have support to move this forward. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add.
Yeah, I think it's important. I tried to do this a year ago when Kim Plowman left.
Oh, yeah.
And it all relates back to the people that we have on here. When he came on, and Kevin, we saw the opportunities, what was going on, and I forgot your name, so I can't even say it.
Julia.
Yeah, I apologize because you're newer, but I still should know it, and I apologize. But now, and Kevin was really good. He and Wendy too. We talked a lot about this, and we didn't get it done last budget, or when Kim Plum left, there was too many indifferences, and I think that had to do with a lot of the outside people that were involved with Walmart and all that. And this really creates something that we've never had before. If you go back to when Rob Strong was ahead of everything, it was basically nothing got bad past Rob Strong when he was in charge, and things went really slow. If you look at the last 10, 12 years, we had some good things coming here. You're going to see so many advantages now, the way it was reorganized. And in fact, I really believe we might be even adding more later once we get things rolling. And I think it all does. It relates to the people we have, the energy they bring to the table, to know what they know, and doing it right. The responsibilities, you all know what you got to do. Before, it was under one roof, one person, and they're delegated. You heard them say, Kevin's going to be in charge of this, and Wendy's going to be dealing with this, and it's going to go on. So and Cheryl. So I think it's really something. I know past Tuesday we'll have a couple of people that are going to argue the points because we're spending the money, and They don't think we should have a director and an assistant director or this and that, but there's only a few of them.
Right.
We have more people here that care what happens in Green Bay. And I tried to put my name on as much as I could, because then there's more people that'll follow.
I'm just curious what the mayor have to say about it.
I talked to the mayor from up front, he was with me the whole time.
Okay.
I told him what I wanted, but Kevin did too. He
Yeah,
talked to
okay.
Kevin. Kevin was a big part of this.
Okay.
But I've had many conversations with him, and up until this last meeting, I had two to make sure he wasn't gonna
Good.
veto anything.
Good.
And
Good.
he said, do whatever you want.
Good. Okay. That sounds good.
Other than that, just some projects updates. One of the things, our Erie Road parcel, we're still working through our due diligence in terms of queuing up that sale for this year, and just working on. We had some issues with the DNR. There was a misunderstanding, I think, with some of the wetland permitting. But so far, so good, and we're continuing to move forward with that, and maybe looking at some potential site plans coming up this summer.
Good. Excellent.
All right, you want to return to item 5?
Anything else for Kevin?
Are there any other questions? Or?
Otherwise, we will return to item 5, approval of 15-wide easement for private utility purposes across city-owned property at 2950 Lowell Drive.
All right. This was in your packet. I'm just going to turn. In short, this is the AE property. This is the movie theater. Here's Lowell Drive.
Okay.
So hospitals down over here.
Okay.
The utilities, when they put them in, generally you follow the property line.
Right.
Whatever surveyor must have been off that day.
I see that, yeah.
They don't follow the property line.
Yeah, okay.
So in essence, AECom is looking to sell their property. They've actually had a few interested parties in it. But in order to make that sale, they just want to be confident that the city will grant an easement for this telecommunication line. They need to get into work and move it. City owns this property. As you can see from here, probably don't need to pull up. It is mostly all wetland. It's just one of the ones that we acquired when we went in. But there's a small sliver potentially down the road, maybe a smaller business. We could look at adding a developable parcel in here. But doing the easement is not going to change any of that. This is requested on behalf of the agent representing the seller of this property. So this is just, because it's EDA or city land, looking for EDA's approval just to grant this easement.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
If I could,
Sure.
I just have one question. Please.
Yep.
I-43 is my district and all that, and I heard you say it, that it sort of affect anybody that want any business that might come. We're not going to put a big business in there, obviously, it's going to be for a smaller one. I just want to make sure that, and understand that that's going to be still capable, that once that easement's there, because, once they get an easement, they pretty much do anything they want.
Correct.
I've been through that twice.
So the request is for a 15-foot wide easement. Most all of our setbacks out there are 25 feet.
Right, yeah.
So this, won't even, the building, it won't even impact a potential building that would go out there.
Perfect.
pretty much
And that's one thing, we definitely ask, we don't want to box
I
ourselves
just wanted
into
to
a
make
corner.
sure.
Yes.
And what
Question.
percentage of that lot is wetlands? Probably about 80%.
I can pull up the map. It's a pretty slim. You
Yeah.
could maybe get about, altogether,
Third of an acre maybe or something.
I was going to say otherwise, maybe 40, 50 feet of frontage. So, with the setbacks, it's really
That's why it's not
tough to
been
develop.
developed.
Correct, yes.
I'll make a motion to grant the
Motion made by Borley, is a second?
Second.
Second by Genrick. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Thanks for coming, Mike.
Adjourned.
Sorry,
Yeah. Made it just in time.
that's all right.
I got another meeting to go
It's
to.
just
but
one of
very
those
nice to
days.
see you.
Yeah, I've seen it. I'll keep it up.
Yep.
Definitely.
Like,
Like my bike. So I sometimes.
you're all relaxed after all that work and then have to run down here.
You know, you guys just catching a
Vast
little bit
majority
of
of the
the conversation.